morning. So today we are going to see about analytical epidemiology. Till now we have been taught about epidemiology, what is epidemiology, what is the definition of epidemiology, and descriptive epidemiology. Descriptive epidemiology, there are three case series, case report, and cross-sectional studies are there. Cross-sectional study is always called as prevalence study because we are going to observe the population and we can able to identify only the already existing cases, not the new cases. So we call cross-sectional study as prevalence studies. Now we are going to see about analytical epidemiology. Uh, Analytical epidemiology has two distinct types. Okay, one is case control or retrospective study, and B cohort or prospective study. Analytical, as the name suggests, we are going to analyze what is there behind the causes. Okay, suppose some risk factor is there and the outcome is there. We are going to observe this risk factor, the outcome in observational study. Then we will be find out what is the relationship between the risk factors and the outcome. So we are going to analyze what is there in between these factors. So that's why we call it as analytical epidemiology. One more study design is there, that is RCT, that is experimental studies, that we will see it in the next class. Okay, so today we are going to see about what is analytical epidemiology and what are the types and how to conduct these analytical studies. Okay, so broadly we have two study methods. One is case control, that is retrospective, and cohort, that is prospective. These two study designs are totally different, but both are having a valid point in research methodology. Okay. So these study types can determine any statistical association exists between a disease and a suspected factors. So these study designs will find out what is statistical association between the disease and the factors, the risk factors and the disease. If one exists, the strength of the association. Suppose if it is there any relationship, then what is the strength of that particular risk factors or particular association? So that thing we are going to elicit with this type of analytical epidemiology. First, case control study. There are three distinct features are there for case control study. First and foremost, both exposure and the outcome have occurred before the start of the disease. Here we are going to start the disease after the here we are going to start the study once after the disease has been occurred in the subjects. Right? So it's a retrograde. Right? Both exposure and outcome, both exposure as well as the outcome have been occurred. It's already there in the study participants. Then we are going to start the disease. Okay? The study proceeds backward from effect to cause. So what we are going to see, the study proceeds backward, like effect to cause, usually cause to effect. Okay, that is a prospective. Here what we are going to do in a ulta manner, that is effect to cause. After the disease has occurred, we are going to find out what are the causes of the particular disease. So it is a retrograde, right? It uses a control or comparison group to support or refute an inference, right? Here we are going to use a control or comparison group to support or refute an inference. So we have cases and control. We have control as comparison group. Then we are going to compare them, matching. Then we are going to analyze what is a relationship. That's why here we are going to use a control. So there are four basic steps for conducting a case control study. A selection of cases and control. Second, matching. Third, measurement of exposure. And fourth, analysis and interpretations. Selection of cases and control is the most vital steps in case control study, because we have to be careful in selecting a cases and more careful in selecting the controls, because it is a most important thing. We cannot select all the cases randomly to be part of this study design. Okay. Second thing, matching. So after having these criteria for cases and controls, we have to make sure that they are getting matched with each other. Like cases should be cases and controls should both are in a same age group or same socioeconomic status or environmental, except other than that disease. Cases should have the disease and control should not have the disease. Except this point, other things should be equal in both cases and control. Okay, so to make sure to ensure that process we are doing matching. Then measurement of exposure. Here we are going to use odds ratio. Okay. In cross-section study, we'll be find out prevalence. In cohort, we are going to use incidence, and here we are going to use odds ratio. Okay. We'll see what are those steps in calculating odds ratio in the further slides. Okay. Finally, analysis and interpretations. Selection of cases and control. Selection of cases. First, we need to define the cases by using diagnostic criteria as well as with eligibility criteria. Okay, diagnostic criteria may get differ mm, for disease to disease. Okay, but thing is, we need to make sure that we are following the protocol. We have to diagnose the disease in a standard manner, and we have to follow the diagnostic criteria throughout the study. Okay, and eligibility criteria to select a case, they should be like eligibility criteria, like they should have diagnosed in a recent days, or within a short duration, or they should not have any complications like that. We should have some eligibility criteria to select the case into the study group. Okay, then source of cases, it can be from a hospital or it can be from a population. Hospitals like cancer hospitals or any super specialty hospital, we can find out rare disease in a same places. Or if you want to do it in a general population, we can do that. Okay, but it is more difficult when compared with hospital source of cases. And selection of controls. Sources of control can be a hospital, relatives, neighborhood, or general population. Hospital, we can get other patients other than the disease under study. Like suppose, for example, if you are going to see about cardiac attack, yeah, MI, myocardial infarction, we can take other hospital patients who has been admitted for some other disease like liver cirrhosis or something else, which is totally different from the disease under study. Then relatives, we can take out relatives of patients, like by using relatives we are going to eliminate the genetic impact on that particular disease, because these relatives on the patients will share a common genetic component, right? So we can control these genetic factors. Then neighborhood and general populations will have a check on environmental impact. So neighborhood will have the same environment like just like a patient. So if you're going to take out neighborhood, we can have a check on environmental controls on the particular disease under study, right? So this is selection of controls. Source of controls are hospitals, from hospitals, relatives, neighborhood, and general population. Matching. The process by which we select controls in such a way that they are similar to cases with regard to certain pertinent selected variables which are known to influence the outcome of disease, and which, if not adequately matched for comparability, could distort or confound the result. So what we wanna mean by using this term matching, like we have to make sure these cases and control are similar, except other than the disease. Right? Cases should have the disease and control without the disease. Other factors or other variables should have a equal impact on both the cases and controls. So that's to ensure this process we are doing matching. Matching procedure, it can be grouping or pairing. Okay, grouping means we are going to match group wise, like age group 10 to 20. We are going to match this 10 to 20 age group of cases with 10 to 20 age group of control. So this is an example for grouping, group matching. And the individual matching, we have to make sure that 12-year-old patients will compare with 12-year-old control. So individually, we are going to pair the cases and control. That is individual pairing, and group pairing is like we are going to compare the group with cases and control. So this is regarding matching procedures. Confounding factor. What is confounding factor? One which is associated both with exposure and the disease and is distributed unequally in studies and control groups. Suppose, for example, if you are going to deal with CA, esophagus, and alcohol, okay, you have to make sure that smoking is getting smoking is smoking should be eliminated from the study group by doing matching or during in the analysis part. Okay, so this factors, third factor which is having influence on both the exposure and the disease is considered as confounding factor. One which is associated both with exposure and the disease and is distributed unequally in study and control group is otherwise called as confounding factors. Measurement of exposure obtained by interviewers, questionnaires, hospital records, employment records, etc. Analysis and interpretations to find out exposure rate among cases and controls to suspected factors. So we are going to find out what is exposure rates of among cases and control with the suspected factor. Second, estimation of disease risk associated with the exposure. That is, we are going to use odds ratio in case control study. Exposure rates provides a direct estimation of the exposure rate to a suspected factor in disease and non-disease group, that is cases and controls. So gives us direct estimation of how much exposures or the frequencies. Okay, a suspected factor has been presented in a disease group as well as in a control group. So this is a 2 by 2 table which shows a case control study of smoking and lung cancer. Here we have a first column as cases, that is patients with lung cancer, and second column as control, patients without lung cancer. First row, smoking less than 5 cigars per day and non-smokers, right? So here we are after plotting. For example, out of 35 lung cancers, 33 have a history of smoking less than 5 cigars per day, and 2 are non-smokers. And out of 82 patients without lung cancer, they have 55 smokers and 27 non-smokers. So after plotting these things, we are going to find out what is odds ratio. So odds ratio is nothing but AD by BC, cross product ratio, cross product ratio. So A into D and B into C, right? So that is nothing but odds ratio. So before the case exposure rate, cases A divided by A plus C, cases, exposure rate cases out of 35, how many are getting exposed? That is 33, right? So that A divided by A plus C, this is denominator, and this part will be a numerator. So how many cases has been exposed with smoking factor? So that is exposure rate, right? So here we are going to see A divided by A plus 3, A plus C, that is 33 divided by 35 equal to 94%.2. As well as similarly for controls, what is the exposure rate? Out of 82, 55 has been exposed with smoking, right? Exposure rate for control, out of 82, 55 has been exposed with smoking, right? So what is the formula? B divided by B plus T. Okay, so B divided by B plus C. This is the denominator and B will be the numerator. B divided by B plus T. Right. So here we get 67.0%. So exposure rate to smoking factor is high among the cases, that is 94.2%. Here you can see for cases 94.2 and for control 67%. To ascertain whether there is any statistical association between exposure status and the lung cancer, p value is to be calculated. So this is the relationship we are going to find out. What is the relationship between the exposure and the outcome, right? So if you want to find out the association, statistical association, we need to find out p-value. By using for p-value, we have many other procedures. Like this is the categorical data, we can use chi-square, right? So if it is a continuous data, we can use odds ratio and other non-parametric and non-parametric tests, right? Next, estimation of risk. First one is exposure rate, and second estimation of risk obtained by calculating relative risk or risk ratio. Right? Relative risk is nothing but incidence among exposed divided by incidence among non-exposed. So incidence among exposed, how to calculate? A divided by A plus B. And here you see incidence rate among exposed, right? So among exposed group is nothing but A plus B, right? Exposure. This is the exposure group. So what is the incidence rate of disease among exposed? So this is the case, right? This is incidence. So 33 divided by 33 plus 55 will be the incidence rate among exposed, right? Here you can see A divided by A plus B, incidence among exposed. Similarly, incidence among non-exposed will be incidence among non-exposed. So 29, A plus C plus D are 20, non-exposed group, right? Out of non-exposed, how many are getting the disease? 2, that is C. So C divided by C plus D is incidence among non-exposed. So relative risk will be incidence among exposed divided by incidence among non-exposed. That is A divided by A plus B by C divided by C plus D. A typical case control study does not provide incidence rate, hence only odds ratio can be derived. So we know that case control study is a retrospective study. So it is going to take all the cases which can be a new case or old case. If it is which we are going to include even old case directly, we directly it says that we cannot find out incidence. We can able to find out only prevalence. So a typical case control study does not provide incidence rate, so we have to use odds ratio instead of relative risk. For a cohort study, we can use relative risk. Okay, so by rearranging all these things, we will be getting odds ratio, that is cross product ratio. It is a measure of the strength of association between the risk factors and the outcome. So here we have what is this odds ratio? It's the strength of association. Okay, based on three assumptions. The disease being investigated must be a relatively rare. The case must be representative of those with the disease. The control must be a representative of those without the disease. So for these to ensure all these 3 points, we are making sure matching as well as in analyzing partner. Okay, so based on three assumptions, what are those three assumptions? The disease being investigated must be a relatively rare. So the disease must be rare. Now it should not be a common or endemic diseases. Okay, the cases must be representative of those with the disease. If you are going to follow strict eligibility criteria and diagnostic criteria, we can ensure representative of disease from all the diseases. Similarly for controls. So exposed and non-exposed disease. Yes, no, A, B, C, D. So odds ratio as we seen in the previous uh, things, AD by BC. AD by BC. Here is A into D, 33 into 27 divided by B into C, 55 into 2. Right? So here you see 33 into 27 divided by 55 into 2. That is nothing but 8.2. Smokers, how to interpret this 8.2? That is nothing but smokers showed a risk of having lung cancer 8.1 times that of non-smokers. Okay, smokers are having 8.1 times risk of developing a lung cancer when compared with non-smokers. So that is the interpretations for odds ratio, right? Right. The relative risk estimate may increase or decrease as a result of the bias. Right. So relative risk estimate may increase or decrease as a result of bias. Bias is nothing but any systematic error in the determination of association between the exposure and the disease. Again, I'm reading bias. Any systematic error in the determination of association between the exposure and the disease. Right. Bias is nothing but systematic error. Right. So bias is having a major impact in case control study. And in fact, this is a drawback in case control study. Even though there is a lot of advantages of there in case control study, biases have a major impact in case control study. If you don't know how to control these biases, then our study will be a waste of time. Right? So base biases in epidemiological studies, confounding bias, memory or recall bias, selection bias, Wilkinsonian bias, and interviewer's bias. Right? Confounding bias. This can be removed by matching in case control study. As we have seen what is confounding. If you don't know how to match, if you don't know how to find out these confounding factors and matching, then we will land up in confounding bias. Okay, just like as I said before, esophageal cancer, smoking, and alcohol. Okay, memory or recall bias. This is obvious because we are going to ask the patients what was happened when they had the exposure. Okay, they might be had the exposure 20 years back or 10 years back. After 20 years of smoking, they might be developed now lung cancer. So if you are going to ask patients who had a history of 10 years or 20 years, obviously there will be a memory or recall bias. How to reduce these things? To select recently diagnosed cases. So that's what we can do, but still uh, we have to make sure that there is a less memory or recall bias. We can probe by asking questions, many questions, to ensure that the answers given by the patients. That is memory or recall bias. Then selection bias, controlled by prevention. Like we should not allow all the patients who wants to get into the study. We have to reduce selection bias. Parkinsonian bias is nothing but arises because of the different rates of admission to hospitals for people with different disease. Parkinsonian bias is nothing but due to different rate of admission to hospital for people with different diseases. There might be there might be more cancer cases or more serious cancer in a tertiary care hospital than with the normal clinic or normal secondary hospitals and all. Okay, so that is nothing but Parkinsonian bias. Interviewers bias can be eliminated by double blinding. Blinding, how to do blinding? We'll see it in a RCT. What is double blinding? Like interviewers as well as the patients will not be aware about what is the subject or who are the cases or who are the controls. That is nothing but double blinding. Can be eliminated by double blinding. And interviewer bias can be reduced by using a standard protocols. So now we have come to advantages and disadvantages of case control study. It is relatively easy to carry out. First and foremost point, because we are going to do only with a retrograde, right? So we can able to do it with a simple interview methods or record. By using the record, we can able to conduct this case control study. So it is relatively easy to carry out compared with cohort or RCTs, right? And it is rapid and inexpensive. We are not going to do any interventions with the patients, right? So it can be a rapid or inexpensive. We don't need to spend much time, much money or whatever it is, we can able to do it with a limited resource. Require comparatively few subjects. So since it is, we are going to use this case control study only to find out for risk factors of rare disease, right? So rare disease, we may not be able to get a more number of patients. So obviously, we can able to do this study using a few subjects alone, not like cross-sectional study. It's suitable to investigate rare disease. Obviously, it is a apt study designed to find out the risk factors for rare disease. Here we can see a disease is one and the risk factors are more. Okay, we can able to find out all the risk factors for a particular disease, not like cohort study. Cohort study, we are going to find out what are the disease which a single risk factors can produce. Okay, there only one risk factors and multiple diseases are there. Here only one disease is there, multiple risk factors we can able to find out. Okay, suitable to investigate rare disease. No risk to subject. We are not going to interfere, or we are not going to stop, or we are not going to do anything with the patients, right? So there is no risk to subject. In cohort and all, we are going to observe a group and we are going to omit a group, something like that, right? So there is a risk to the subject is there, especially in a RCTs and all. But here in case control study, there is no risk, absolutely no risk for a subjects. Allows to study of different etiological factors. As I said before, we are going to find out what are the different etiological factors for a single disease, single rare disease. So it can be a single or multiple or many multifactorial causation will be there for a single disease, right? So we can able to elicit all the risk factors which is there in the part of disease, not like cohort study. Risk factors can be identified, prevention and the control programs can be established. So obviously, after identifying the risk factors, we can able to do prevention part as well as controlling part by using programs or legislations. Right? Cancer lung can be caused by smoking. So obviously, we'll follow all the steps to reduce that smoking risk factors, by preventing or control programs through legislations or whatever it is, right? No attrition problems. Attrition problems are more common in cohort and RCTs because we are not going to use case. We can able to do case control study by using records also. So there is no point of thinking about attritions, right? So we are not going to follow out. So there is no attrition problems in case control study. An ethical problem is minimal. Obviously, the patient's involvement is very low, and we are not going to do any interventions. The ethical problems will get minimized automatically. Right? So, what are the disadvantages then? Problems of bias relies on memory or past record, accuracy of which may be uncertain. So, as I said before, bias has a major impact in case control study. So, problems of bias relies on memory or past records, accuracy of which may be uncertain. Selection of an appropriate control group may be difficult. So, rather than a cases, selecting a control is a big task in case control study because we need to make sure that controls are more or less equal with cases except other than having them disease, right? So there is a challenge in selecting a control compared to cases, right? Can't measure incidence and can only estimate the cross product ratios. We cannot measure incidence because we are not going to follow the cases, right? So we cannot measure incidence. We can able to estimate only the cross product ratio. Do not distinguishing between causes and association factors. Do not distinguish between causes and associated factors. Not suited to the evaluation of therapy or prophylaxis of disease. Not like RCT or cohort study. We cannot use this study design to evaluate a therapy or prophylaxis of a disease. We have to use only RCT, okay, which has more ethical problems and attrition problems. And we cannot use this study design for this purpose. Major concern is the representativeness. We have to ensure as much as possible that the cases are representing the whole number of cases as far as controls are representing general population, and it is a big task in case control study. If we can able to eliminate all these problems, we can do a case control study in an effective manner. Examples: adenocarcinoma of vagina, oral contraceptives and thromboembolic disease, and thalidomide tragedy. These are the famous case control study which is there in the history. Even in Park also they have a given examples. Right? So to wind up, let us see what are the steps in case control study. We'll go for a cohort. Okay. So in analytical epidemiology, we have two distinct types. One is case control, that is retrospective, and cohort, that is prospective, right? So three distinct types of case, distinct feature, characteristic feature of case control study. Both exposure and the outcome have occurred before the start of the study. And study proceeds backward from effect to cause, and it uses a control or comparison group to support or refute an inference. There are four basic steps in case control study. First one, selection of cases and control. Selection of cases, eligibility criteria, and diagnostic criteria. From where you can get cases from hospitals as well as from a general population. For controls, we can use hospital controls, we can use neighborhood control, we can use relatives, we can use general population as control also. Okay. Most importantly, matching. We have to ensure both cases and controls are similar in all the characteristics except other than having the disease. So that is nothing but matching. It can be two types: group matching and individual pairing. Group matching, we are going to group the cases in based on one criteria. It can be age or it can be socioeconomic status or whatever it may be. Okay, we can compare with a group of control. Individual matching, we are going to make sure that individually cases are getting paired with the controls in all the manners. So that is individual matching. So analyzing part of these two is getting differed into group matching and analyzing matching. And measurement of exposure, we are going to measure the exposure by doing interview methods or by doing record or whatever it is, right? So we can able to do measurement of exposures. Last point, analysis and interpretations. Analysis, mainly we are going to use odds ratio. Other than odds ratio, we can able to estimate exposure rate and uh, relative risk. Okay, relative risk, generally we are not using relative risk for case control study because it is not going to read about incidents. So relative risk is mainly for cohort study, and here we are going to use only exposure rate for cases and control and odds ratio, and the interpretation how to interpret odds ratio is nothing but cases are having smokers are having so much of time high risk of developing the disease than the controls or the people who are not having exposed. So this is odds ratio or cross product ratio formula AD by BC. An advantage, disadvantage, again, no need to go again. It is relatively easy, rapid and inexpensive. Comparatively few subjects are required. Suitable for investigating rare disease, no risk to subject, allows to study of different ecological factors. Risk factors can be identified. No attrition problem, ethical problems are minimal. Disadvantage, bias is a major role. Selection of controls have selection of an appropriate control group may be difficult. Can't measure incidence. Don't distinguish between, do not distinguish between causes and associated factor, not suited for evaluation of therapy or prophylaxis. Major concern is a representativeness, right? So next class we'll see about what is cohort study and how to conduct this cohort study, and further on we'll move with RCTs. Right?
Thank you.